What's going on, guys? Camjo here, and today we're going to be doing something a little different, and I'm going to be starting a new series here on the channel, which is my SaaS 0 to 1K a month challenge. So basically what this is going to be is going to be me building SaaS products from start to finish, doing everything completely solo, and what this is going to hopefully do is help other people learn about what it takes to create a SaaS product, as well as help me learn what it takes to create a SaaS product, because I've built a few softwares and tools over my life, but I'm a very technical founder, if you would say so. So I've never really been able to market and sort of get my product out there and actually receive sales. So what I really want to do is sort of focus more on like the marketing part of launching a SaaS, while also building the product. Because I've gotten pretty good at building products now. I can iterate my code pretty fast and sort of build out new things, whether it's AI, data-driven stuff, all the different kinds of products. So yeah, so I've written out some basic stuff here for my challenge. So my tech stack, like I said, I want to focus on the marketing side. So my tech stack, I'm going to keep it really simple. So just Next.js, Auth.js, obviously for letting people log in. Tailwind CSS and DaisyUI for the front end, just some simple libraries to make things easier. Postgres and Prisma for databases. That's what I'm most familiar with, so I've always used those. I'm going to continue with it. And then Stripe payments for actually receiving payments on the products. So I've also set out a couple of rules for this challenge. So a time limit for validation. So if there's no traction on the product within like 1 to 2 weeks of starting it, we're just going to move on to the next idea. We're not going to be able to spend any more than a week building the MVP. And I think that's a very important thing here, because I've basically sort of timelined everything out into a 4-week process, a 2 to 4 week process, depending on the product and how complex it is. But building an MVP should not be hard. You should just have to have very core features, which is actually my number 3. So I think a maximum of spending a week building the MVP and testing it is what we need to do, because nothing really needs to be complex. We just need to get that initial user base, and then once we see traction, we can further talk to the users and get everything we need. So number 4, we're going to make data-driven decisions. What that's going to allow us to do is really just not make any rash decisions based on how I feel, what users say, but rather understand the data and really take polls. So that brings us to number 4, make data-driven decisions. And what this is going to allow us to do is really understand what we need to do within our application to further the experience for users. So we can track things like signups if they're not going well. We can track things like within the application itself. So if users are using certain core features or whatnot, we can make adjustments there. So we're going to try and keep expenses to a minimum as well, as this is a 0 to 1K a month challenge. You can imagine that there's not a lot of upfront capital that I would like to be putting into these. And I believe it's really actually quite easy to build something using free tools out there. A lot of the times, like, people are paying for things which just automate stuff that they can do for free. For example, Clerk, which is a hosted authentication platform for Auth.js. So I see a lot of people using Clerk. And obviously, it's not a lot of money. You pay per users, stuff like that. But still, it could just be done by yourself. I'm also going to focus just on niche groups. So that's our number 6 here. And what this is going to allow me to do is really understand the target audience, right? It's great to have $1 million a month SaaS, but finding that perfect target audience, I believe starting smaller, way smaller and niche down, is going to get us the quick initial traction, which will allow us to grow in the future. 7, we're going to engage with users regularly. And this is really important because the people using your app know what they want. And basically, if we talk to enough users and get sort of a community going, we can understand and always make the app better, right? So that's definitely an important factor. Number 8, we're going to be planning for marketing from day 1. So starting today, our idea will be launched, and then we can make our marketing plan right off the bat. And this is important. Like I said, I don't really want to focus a ton on all of the technical stuff like coding and whatnot, but rather getting eyes on the product and marketing it. So definitely understanding how we're going to market our product from day one is very important for me. And then number 9, we're just going to do a bi-weekly recap of our progress. So this is going to allow us to make any pivots we might need to, or adjust the direction from where we're headed. So yeah, these are the basic rules which I've established. So without further ado, let's get into week 1. All right, so now we're starting week 1. All right, so now we're here on my projects table in Notion, and you can see I've actually got my first project already created in my table. So you can see I just have some basic stats here, like start date, end date, obviously if I end it, some status, not started, active, ended, stuff like that, and revenue. And obviously, like, we can add to this and tweak this as we go on. So I'm just going to open up my project here, and I've decided to create something called Flora Supply. And basically what this is going to be is a DaisyUI component builder. So it will have pre-built components with DaisyUI, as well as you'll be able to use AI to generate like full sections for your website that you can just copy and paste right into your projects. So let's get started with this. So week 1, I have sort of mapped out a list of things that I need to do. So definitely we are going to do the project setup, so creating the repo on GitHub, setting up the development environment, like all of our frameworks. So we're just basically going to install Next.js and DaisyUI. We're going to finalize the project name, create a logo and a color theme, which shouldn't take more than 10 minutes because honestly you don't really need to focus on your logo that much. People spend hours, days, even months on their logo, and it really doesn't matter. It's more about how you market it. So that's why for number 3, we have planned the marketing strategy. We're going to create a landing page so we can get those early signups. We're probably going to use Beehive. I might use another platform, but we'll decide soon. We're going to set up our social accounts. So on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, I think are going to be the best places to market this product because it's focused on people who build websites and UIs using DaisyUI. And then we're going to plan our MVP. So we're going to talk about what the core features are. So I sort of already talked about that a little bit. What do users need? And we're going to create our basic development roadmap with some milestones. So remember, our development time is only 1 week, so that's obviously going to be a very focused week. We're going to have to pump things out pretty quickly. But that's the goal here, so let's get started. All right, so we're going to create our new repository here on GitHub. So I've just called it Flora Supply. I'm going to make it private. And now we can clone this over to our project. So let's actually set up our development environment right now. So, all right, guys, so we're going to create our Next.js app here. So I'm just going to cd into my documents, coding projects folder, and I run npx create next app in a folder called Flora Supply. And it's going to ask me if I want to proceed using Next app 14. So I'm going to say yes. We are going to be using TypeScript, no ESLint. Oh, sorry. We're going to be using Tailwind, obviously. We're not going to use a source, and we're going to use the app router. We're not going to change the default alias. And once this all spins up, we should be able to open Visual Studio Code. So, yep, you can see, got no vulnerabilities. I like that. And we have our Next.js app here. We can go ahead and push this to GitHub so we can get our repo initialized. New git add dot, git commit init, and then we could go back to our repo here and copy this line so we can actually push to the repo. Yep. We changed it to main. Okay, it worked. Cool. So we should have our Next.js app here. Awesome. So now that we have that set up, let's move on to the next step. All right, so for picking a theme, I've actually, because I'm using DaisyUI, I've just come to their themes page and I'm going to pick one from here. So I'm torn between Sunset and Bumblebee. I will probably be going with Bumblebee just because it's a light theme and I feel like using a light theme. And I like the oranges and the yellow contrast. So I think this will be a good pick. So let's use that. And now onto the logo. So for my logo, I had the idea of doing something similar to a flower or like a windmill kind of thing. So I looked up windmill flower logo on the internet and basically scrolled for a second, and I kind of want to do something sort of like this, or like this. So you can see it kind of looks like the Google Photos logo, but I think if I smooth it out, and I also want the things vertically and horizontally, kind of like a addition sign. So I think that would be good. So I'm gonna hop in Figma here and see what I can come up with in like 10 minutes and get back to you. Alright guys, so you can see I finished the logo. I made a few final touches. You can see I added this dark square in the middle, and I put it on a dark and a light background just to see sort of how it looks, and I think it looks great on both, so I'm just gonna roll with it. Hey guys, so that's a wrap for today. So tomorrow we are going to start on the marketing setup. So that will be planning the marketing strategy for the whole entire project, as well as creating our landing page for signups. So like I said, probably using Beehive, but we don't know yet. And we're going to set up these social accounts as well. So I'm excited about this journey, and I hope you are too. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts, and I'll see you tomorrow.